Hold on, we'll give it a second. What's up, guys? Welcome into the stream. Man, I was not planning on doing this, obviously. I had a bunch of other stuff I was going to do today. Kind of had to hop on here for this. So just let's say what's up to some people in the chat before we get into this. What's up, everybody, for jumping in here? Completely random stream, not planned whatsoever. Brandon Green, what's up? How you guys doing? Ricky, Theo, Ezekiel, Finney, all you guys. And I appreciate all you. All right, so this is where do I even start with this? So let's just hop right into it. So let's see if I can do this here. I'm not great at streams yet. Hold up. Let's see if I can figure this out, guys. I apologize. So I can put this on the screen. But I'm sure you guys see the title, see the thumbnail. It happened. So all offseason so far, we've kind of been wondering what was going to happen with Darius Slay, what the Eagles might do there. So that's official. Adam Schefter tweeted out very recently, 20-some minutes ago, the Eagles are releasing 6-time Pro Bowl cornerback Darius Slay per sources. If he is designated a post-June 1st release, the Eagles will save $4.3 million against the cap. And then he actually went ahead and tweeted a little bit later that Slay, in fact, will be a designated post-June 1st release. No surprise there, saving the Eagles $4.3 million against the cap. So, yeah, I mean, again, like I was saying, I feel like all offseason we've kind of been like, Darius Slay's been a huge question mark. Like, what could the Eagles end up doing with him? Just because, he's been such a great player for a long time for this team. And he just is coming off an incredible season at 34 years old, I think he was last season. He still was playing at, Pro Bowl level, one of the best corners in the league. So to see him go definitely sucks. But at the same time, it does make sense because, he was going to have this big hit against the cap this year. He had a potential out in his contract. And Howie, the comments that he made a couple days ago, this falls right in line with that. Like, he said that they're going to do things that maybe the fans don't quite agree with, or they're not quite in line with what other people think are the best moves. But this is this is one of those things that I think I don't want to say I saw it coming, but I saw it being a possibility, and now it's happened. So, it sucks. Like Finney Book says here, Slay will forever be great. Yeah, I mean, he came to the Eagles at a time where, like, the cornerback position, for a while, we had not had high-level play. And he came in, gave us high-level play for, 2020, 2021, 5 seasons. So forever grateful for what he gave to this team. And, who knows? Like, it might not be over yet. I don't want to, give you guys false hope or anything. But, the Eagles did do this. They were supposed to release Darius Slay a couple seasons ago, and then it turns out he ended up coming back. This time it is a little bit different, though, just because, this is going to be the last year of his career, as opposed to the last time when, they added a couple years onto his contract. They extended him a little bit. They're not going to really be able to do that this time. So maybe they could find a way to bring him back on some value contract where things, aren't hurting the cap so much. I'm not going to claim to be a cap genius or a cap expert or know how all that stuff works. Maybe there's a possibility, but I would say it's probably less likely than 2 years ago when it happened. But man, it sucks. I mean, I get the wanting to save $4.3 million, but to see Slay go, it sucks. Good thing we won him a Super Bowl at least. Like, that makes me happy. He definitely deserves it. Gavin says he should retire as a champ. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He said he's going to play one more year though. I don't disagree with you, but I'm not Darius Slay, so he's going to do what he wants to do. Let's get into some other tweet stuff here, just talking about Slay, because what could be next? So, yeah, forever a Philly legend. I got to be careful here. But this is the other thing. So, I'm not going to play this clip. Well, I don't know. Do I get in trouble? Probably not. I play that kind of stuff in my videos. Trying to see. All right, here's the one that I was curious about. So, he said a couple weeks ago on the St. Brown Brothers podcast that, he wants to stay with the Eagles for one final season, but he's also, if that doesn't work out, he would want to go back to the Lions. If that were to happen, that would make this move a lot worse, just because obviously the Lions are probably one of the Eagles' top competitors in the NFC right now. So, to see him, go back to Detroit and bolster that defense, which, I mean, last season they weren't good, but they were also super, super injured. So they're going to get healthy there. And if they were to add Darius Slay, that would definitely make them a lot more difficult. Not saying that I think, if we were to play them, that we wouldn't be able to have success going up against Slay. It'd be an interesting dynamic just because of the simple fact that Slay has practiced against guys like A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith every single day for years now. So they're obviously super familiar with each other. That would make for an interesting dynamic. Definitely don't want him to go to the Lions, though. That would suck. If he's going to go to a different team, I'd let him go to the AFC. Let him go somewhere out there. I know he said obviously he either wants to play for the Eagles or the Lions, but hopefully if he does go somewhere else, then it's not Detroit, because that would suck. But what are you guys thinking about this kind of stuff? 102 people in here, by the way. I appreciate all you guys. If you haven't already, make sure you like the stream. See if we can get to 102 likes on it. Do appreciate you guys. Very short notice, obviously. We're going to talk about some other stuff a little bit in a minute, like what the Eagles could potentially do after releasing Slay, like who could take his spot, assuming he is gone. But so get some of your guys' thoughts. Tri-State King says he got his ring. He's good. Go out on top. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not Darius Slay. If I were him, I would want to retire at this point. But I understand, there's the love of the game aspect of it. And if he wants to play one more season, he's going to play one more season. So we'll see where he ends up. It definitely sucks, man. Like, I really like Slay. Slay was a great leader for this team, and it sucks that this is what ends up having to happen, but it's just the harsh reality of, we got all these guys extended the long-term contracts. You want to be able to keep guys like Zach Ball around in free agency. You got these young guys coming up that you got to pay soon, so you got to be able to, be as flexible with your money as possible, and you got to make some tough calls, which is what Howie said he was going to do. It's now happened, so yeah. Man. Carlos Rivera says he's too old for that type of money that he wants. Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what he ends up getting if he does go elsewhere. Honestly, I don't really have a good estimate for you. Again, I think if you can get him back for, that 1 year good value, then I'd say do it. But at the same time, if you're what you're saying, if he does want too much money, then you can't make that move. He said he played well in the playoffs with the exception of the McLaurin touchdown. Glad he got to win with Philly before it was all said and done. Yeah, exactly. Like he Hold on, I just got distracted by a comment. Oh my goodness. By the same guy, by the way. PJ, you're hilarious, dude. But yeah, I'm happy you got to go out on top. I'm gonna cook myself right now with this comedy. So I just tune in for facial hair updates. Yeah, dude, it's bad. I know. I just get lazy. Like, I really don't care that much. Like, do I think this looks good? No. But do I care that much? No. So maybe you just bullied me into shaving it later, but that's funny. Repositioning of the roster has started. Yeah, so it sucks. Birdie says, as an NFL fan, it'd be awesome to see him win another Super Bowl with the Lions. Sir, I mean, I don't know if you're an Eagles fan or what, but I completely disagree with that because I want to see us win every Super Bowl every freaking time. I know that's not realistic, but I'm trying to repeat next year. Like, that's not what I want. So, man. No, I know you're not talking. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to grow a beard. Sorry, getting off topic, but this is, I mean, my dad can't grow a beard. He can grow a goatee. But anyways, let's not get too off topic with the facial hair. So now the question, obviously, moving forward at the cornerback position is, what are the Eagles going to do? And Gavin Davis just gave me a good comment right there. He says, bring back Rodgers and let Ringo get some more playing time. So this is the big question mark moving forward. It's like Isaiah Rodgers is set to be a free agent. Obviously, this year when he had to play and he had to fill in for Slay, when he was going out with little injuries here and there, Rodgers was the guy that was stepping in, and he actually played really, really well. I like what he's done. I like his story of, he was with the Colts. He got suspended for a year for gambling, comes to the Eagles, then he gets reinstated, and then he comes and wins a Super Bowl. So, and I think he's a good player. I don't think he's as good as Darius Slay, obviously, but I think he's a good player. And I definitely would not mind bringing him back. I probably, at this point, if Slay is going to be gone, do want to bring Rodgers back and have him compete for that starting job with Kelee Ringo. And Kelee Ringo is another interesting guy because, a couple seasons ago in 2023 in his rookie year, he was playing for a little bit. I forget why he was playing. I think Bradbury got hurt towards the end of the year and whatever, but he played pretty well, I would say, when he was in there. And he's, super hard worker, like Birdie just said. He's been locked in. But yeah, he's a hard worker. Obviously comes from that Georgia defense, has the chemistry with the other guys. And I would like to see him get some playing time now going into his third year. It would kind of be difficult for you to just throw him in there in his fourth season or whatever. But, I like the size Kelee Ringo has. I like what he's shown in some of these preseason games in the regular season, again, a couple of years ago when he did play. But it is interesting, the dynamic between, Ringo's, Rodgers. Who would you rather have in there? So I'm curious to get to know your guys' thoughts. What would you want to do at that position now that if Slay does end up moving on and they don't somehow bring him back? Would you rather have Rodgers or Ringo? I honestly don't know, because I like I like what Rodgers showed this year. I like what he showed on tape. I like his skill set, but at the same time, I also think he's a little small, and I like Ringo's size. That said, Ringo kind of maybe has a little bit of mobility issues at times, so I don't know. It's interesting. All Pal High says, release Bradbury and Slay, move Rodgers and Ringo up. No doubt it's the move. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with James Bradbury. I forget what the money looks like if they end up cutting him. So I feel like that's going to happen for sure. Birdie says, I think Howie would release Bradbury before Slay if the plan was not to re-sign him. That might be a good point, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's going on in Howie's brain or how the salary cap works or any of that stuff. So, it is interesting, though. That's a good point, because you think about it, the timing of this, if they're releasing him this early, they could have done this a little bit later. They're doing it ahead of free agency, obviously. So you want to free up that cap space before, you get to that point. But is there a chance that he comes back simply because of how early on this happened? I think that's a good question. But I'm not sure. Again, I don't know how all the cap works. I'm not going to ever claim to be a cap genius. I'm just a fan that makes these videos. PJ said, I saw a stat about how Ringo hit the highest top speed in his 40, not the fastest time, but the highest top speed. I want to see him play more. Yeah, I do. I like him. I like his potential. But I don't know. I'm curious to who would you guys rather have in there? Would you rather have Rodgers or Ringo? I'm honestly, like Elaine says here, I'm good with either one. I think either one will be fine, but I'm curious who you would rather have. Because I get the thing with, Rodgers is the more experienced player. He played this past year. And you could sign him to I don't know, however many, you can sign him to a 1-year deal, you can sign him to a couple years. But it's you also don't want to just not give Ringo a chance. And the fact that you drafted him a couple years ago and he's now going to be going into the third year of his contract, you want to see him get some playing time. So I don't know. It's a tough question to answer. But again, I appreciate all you guys being in here. Just some breaking news early Monday afternoon. Probably make a video tomorrow talking about this and some other stuff. But yeah, appreciate all the support, guys. Birdie says, I think Ringo has to start at some point. Yeah, I mean, that's yeah, again, that's the dilemma. I like Rodgers. I think he's a good player, and I would like to bring him back. But at the same time, it's you drafted Ringo. You probably want to see him get some playing time. PJ says, Rodgers looked good, but should have had that pick in the playoffs and got out muscled for that ball. Yeah, that's my one concern, again, with his size. He's a little smaller. He got against the Rams in the playoffs, he got forget the specific play, but someone went up over, I think it was Puka, who went up over the top of him and brought in some jump ball. And it's like, I feel like if Slay was in there, that wouldn't happen. And if Ringo was in there, that probably wouldn't happen, assuming he's in the right position. But I don't know. It's interesting. You said Slay's wife just tweeted something hinting at him not being back. Let's do I want to look? I don't want to look that up. Hold on a second. Let's see if we can get an article up here, something talking about the thing, the whole situation. Here's another element of this is like Slay going, he was obviously a leader of this defense. He is a mentor to Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Like, that stuff matters. And him being gone now, who's going to fill that void? We saw it this year. They did a good job filling the voids of Jason Kelsey and Fletcher Cox once they left. Now you got another one of the leaders of your team going. So other guys got to step up, especially in that secondary, because he's definitely the leader of that secondary. But, CJ Gardner-Johnson, he's a guy who's kind of a vocal leader. So, he can kind of do some of that. I think Reed Blankenship also kind of underrated. He's kind of underrated in that aspect. I feel like he's one of those guys that can maybe step up there too. I feel like he's one of the most underrated players on the team, honestly. I'd like to see them extend him, but I also like Sidney Brown. So I don't know. I think you definitely got to keep Reed around though. But yeah, my original point, who steps up as that leader with Slay now being gone? Man. John Page says, I think we should use a later round pick to draft a corner. Yeah, they were meeting with some corners at the combine. I forget the specific names. I don't think there was anyone that crazy. I think they had a formal visit with some like projected later round draft picks. So nothing crazy, but I don't know. Elaine said this was a little heartbreak on. Yeah, I mean, it definitely stinks. Like, I really like Slay, and it sucks to see him go. I'm happy he at least, if this was it with him and the Eagles, then at least he gets to go out with a ring. What good free agents are out there for less? That is a good question. I'm not sure, but honestly, I feel like it doesn't matter that much just because I feel like it's either going to be Rodgers or Ringo. That's just my opinion. Maybe they could bring somebody in for cheap, but I just don't think they're going to be the starter. Where does Slay go? I hope he doesn't go to a rival in the NFC. That's exactly what I was saying earlier. You see it up on the screen here. I probably should get that off, but it says, he said he wanted to either play for the Eagles or Lions in his last season. So I definitely don't want him going to Detroit. That would really suck. But I'm trying to figure out what's the plan next? Is it Rodgers or Ringo? That's the big question. Birdie says Reed's a sneaky team captain candidate for next season. I agree with you, actually. I think he's a lot more important than people realize. I think it was his birthday yesterday too, so happy birthday to him. Okay, Gavin's given us some other options at cornerback, assuming Slay is gone. You don't want to go with Rodgers or Ringo. He says ideas at cornerback. If Rodgers isn't back, DJ Reed from the Jets, Byron Murphy from the Vikings. Honestly, yeah. I mean, those are interesting names. I just feel like if Slay is gone and if Rodgers goes too, then I feel like, Ringo's the guy. I don't think there's really any question about that. Yeah. But appreciate all you guys in here. Right now, we're almost 20 minutes on the stream, so we probably won't stick around for too much longer. I'll be in here probably like 10 more minutes, but yeah. Let's keep looking at stuff. I don't want to. I'm just scared to. Let me actually stop this and see if I can find this tweet real quick from Slay's wife, because apparently she tweeted out something. Although last time that this happened, she tweeted something out too. All right, here it is. All right, let's put this up on the screen real quick. Share screen. All right. Yeah, so she puts up real tears. definitely not a great sign that he's coming back. But last time she sent out like this whole goodbye message to Philly, and then he came back. So we don't know what's going to happen. Now, last time Slay said he was almost, going to be a Baltimore Raven. Because I think that happened during free agency, like when that was open, and he almost signed with them, but then he came back. So who knows? I mean, I really don't know what's going to happen. Philly Sports down here says, Philly Sports Love and Pain says, you're not leaving. I hope that they can work something out, honestly, just because, you're trying to maximize on this window. You're trying to win a Super Bowl. So you can only get, you want the most help you can possibly get. Slay was great this year. He's a leader. So I feel like if you can get him for that last season, as much as, Ringo needs to play and Rodgers is a good option to fill in, I feel like if you can get Slay back for one more season, you do it. That is if the money works. So we'll see. I definitely like that they freed up a little bit of cap space for sure. And there's plenty more moves that they could make to, like, in the next few days. I mean, free agency starts in a week from today. That's when the legal tampering period starts. So stuff's going to get crazy. Again, if you guys have not turned on notifications to the channel, make sure you guys do that because there's going to be a ton of stuff coming next week. Yeah, I was doing some stuff today. I was working on some different kind of stuff, but was not planning on doing a video today. Was not planning on hopping on here, but this happened, so I kind of got to come talk about it. PJ says, "Isn't Jair Alexander seeking a trade?" I honestly, is he? I don't even know what his. Isn't he a free agent? I don't know. He might not be. That might be a stupid thing to say. I forget because I was doing research on him when we were playing the Packers in the playoffs, and he was out, and I forget what's going on with him and his contract, but I don't know. Either way, we're not getting him. We don't have the money to do it. We have Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean coming up as stars at the cornerback position, so we don't need someone like that. But yeah, and I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see if they're able to work something out to bring him back, but I will say I don't think it's as likely as it was a couple seasons ago when that happened. So Bobski says Slay turned 34 when the playoffs started and played like he was 25. Yeah, I mean, what he did, we can't, I was one of the people that I feel like defended Slay the most on here because there were so many people, whether it was on just social media or some of these other, people gave Slay so much crap. And I feel like it was so unwarranted because we had forgotten what the previous history of the cornerback position looked like, before he got here. And the reality is, like, as much as people wanted to, crap on him for, going on that podcast with Micah Parsons, which I'm not going to say I was the biggest fan of that, or like some of the stuff he said, he defended himself that one time earlier in the season on social media, like, oh, I did this, this, and this. And then he immediately apologized for it. Like, I'm not saying that all that stuff was, I'm not saying I approve of all that stuff, but what I am saying is I feel like people were crapping on him way too much, giving him way too much, criticism. People were taking shots at his play and saying he wasn't a good player anymore. And that just simply was never the case. And I always was sitting on here defending him because, he was really, really good throughout his entire Philadelphia tenure. And I feel like he was a little underappreciated in his time. Hopefully now, if he is gone, people, and it looks like everyone's, sad about it or, praising him and saying thank you. But hopefully people remember just how good he was and what he actually did for our team and our defense. Because, yeah, he was really good. And I feel like people didn't realize it as much. Alpal High says it would be more beneficial for Slay to come back to finish out in Philly. Already has chemistry with the current team. The team just won a ring and are in good position to win another. Yeah, I mean, he for one final season to come back, I feel like it'd be really difficult for him to go to a different team and have the same amount of success that he had here just because, he knows the defense here already. He has chemistry with the guys. He's been here for a long time. So, for him to go and play somewhere else, even if it was Detroit where he played for a while, things are completely different there now than they were when he left. So, it would definitely be difficult. But I think he definitely wants to come back, but I don't know how likely it is they work something out. I don't know how much he wants to come back in the sense that, like, how much of a pay cut is he willing to take? Which, if I were him, like, at this point in your career, you've made so much money already. It's so easy for me to say this just sitting here, but, like, you've made so much money already. You're set for life. Your family's set for life. So why not take that discount to just come back and try and win another one? If you're going to play one final season, yeah, man, I don't know. Birdie says second best corner in Eagles history behind Eric Allen. Yeah, I mean he was. I'm not going to sit here and say that that's. I don't know the Eagles history well enough. I mean, I'm not that old. I'm pretty young, so I've only been watching for like 10 years, 11 years. So, but he's up there for sure. Trill Will says I think we played better when Rodgers was on the field. To be honest, respectfully, I don't agree with you. I think Slay was great this season. I think the numbers backed it up for sure. Not saying Rodgers was bad. I think Rodgers was good. And if you do end up, if Slay is gone for good and you have to bring back Rodgers and Rodgers is the one that ends up starting next year, that's great. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be good, honestly. But I don't think that there's really an argument to say that he was better than Slay, in my opinion. Let's see if I can find anything else, any other information on this before we get going. Again, I appreciate all you guys in here. If you haven't already, make sure you like the stream. Let's see if I can find something real quick. Give me a minute. Yeah, it says right here, Super Bowl champ, two-time NFC champ, captain, overhauled the cornerback position in Philadelphia. That was poor for a decade. Yeah, I mean, that is a very good point. I didn't put that up on the screen because there's a video, and I don't want to play the video, but see, anything else on here? All right, wait, whoa. Here we go. Okay, wait a second. Maybe some little good news, little hint of good news here. Let's see this. Okay, so I've been talking about could Slay come back? Maybe. Let's see this here. John Clark, our guy John Clark, he says, I'm told it's possible that Darius Slay, after being released, could still come back with the Eagles at a lower number. Quotes, always possible. So, I mean, there's some hope right there that he can maybe come back, like I've been saying, on a lower number for a little bit cheaper. Again, if you can do that, I think you definitely should. Obviously, you're trying to win a Super Bowl. You're trying to maximize this window. You need all the help you can get. Slay was fantastic this past year. If you can bring him back on that lower number, I think you got to do it, especially with the leadership that he brings to the defense, the mentorship of the younger guys. I think that's super valuable. The question is then what does that actually look like? Like, what is the actual number? I couldn't tell you. I mean, this season, let me actually bring up his contract real fast just to look and see, what he was set to make this year. Let me bring this up real quick. So his cap hit for this year, let me bring this up. Hold on, guys. Let me do this. Here we go. So it says right here, his cap hit for this year was going to be $13.7 million. His base salary was still really low, but that's always the case with the Eagles contracts. The dead cap right here. Like, again, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I understand the how NFL salary cap works, how these contracts work. I'm never going to claim that because it's a little much. But I feel like I don't know what a new contract would look like for Slay, honestly. I mean, if the cap hit was $13.7 million this year, obviously that's going to be lower. This past season, it was 10.6. The season prior was 11.9. So do you think it would be in the similar range of that or maybe a little bit lower? Who knows? But I feel like at this point, with the situation the Eagles are in, with having to extend guys and having, I don't know if I can have this stuff up on the screen, but having to extend guys and having these guys up on long-term contracts, Like, I feel like it's just a little bit more of a difficult situation than it was 2 seasons ago, although they were definitely limited in what they could do then as well. But I don't know. I mean, this is definitely, again, this little thing from John Clark gives you a little bit of hope here, for sure. I mean, give that a like there. I hope they can figure something out. What do you guys think, though? Do you think that they could murder for life? 23 says he's gone. I don't see it. Hopefully. What do you mean hopefully? I want to bring him back. Birdie says Slay will probably address what's going to happen on his podcast. That's a good point. When is his podcast? Because I honestly don't know when he releases those episodes, but I'll have to tune into that whenever that is. Says, would you rather Slay or Rodgers if you had to choose for next year? Slay 100%. I mean, as long as the money works, I think Slay is definitely, he's obviously still the better player. He was incredible last year. If you can bring him back for one more season on a affordable contract, I think you do it for sure. I think you have to do that. And here, I mean, there's hope right here. So we'll see if a similar thing plays out like it did a couple years ago. I hope it does, but we'll see. Birdie says, do you think Howie extends Nakobe this offseason? That is a really good question. It's something I haven't talked about, really. That is a big I don't know, honestly. Like, I feel like they probably won't. I feel like there's a chance. I feel like they probably won't just because, he's dealing with that injury right now. He's only got 1 year of, not even one, well, I guess a full season of high-level play. And I want him to stick around for a while. But the thing is, you can't pay everybody. He's dealing with this injury right now. So there's a little bit of a question mark there. And I just feel like they might let him play out the contract and then go from there. So we'll see. But yeah, guys, there's 87 of you in here right now. So I appreciate all you guys. If you haven't already, make sure you like the stream. Hopping on here on a Monday afternoon. Some breaking news. It says, even if he goes and retires a Lion, he will always be an Eagle. I agree with that just because he won a Super Bowl here. Some of his best years were here. For sure. I mean, I know he's with the Lions for longer, but I think he's always an Eagle. I really hope he comes back for one final season. Troll says, do you think we extend Bond? I do. I mean, based on all the stuff we've heard from the past few weeks, I definitely think that's they're working towards that. You can't let a guy like that walk out of here. I feel like that's priority number one. In my opinion, that's priority number one over getting Myles Garrett. I don't know if I'm crazy for saying that, but I think you absolutely have to bring him back. You have to bring back Zach Bond just because of how valuable he is in this Vic Fangio defense. He fits perfectly. He's a huge reason why they were so good this year. He created so many turnovers, by himself. Like he definitely needs to come back. And I think that they understand that. Howie has said, they're going to make an effort to try and re-sign him. I think they recognize the importance of Zach Bond, and they are going to try and bring him back for sure. Gavin Davis says, maybe we can draft a corner in the 3rd or 4th round. Yeah, maybe. But again, I mean, next year it's either going to be Ringo or Rodgers if Slay isn't back. Oh, excuse me. But maybe for the future, I guess you could have that. Let's see if I can find anything else real quick before we can see if there's any other news. The Eagles and Pierce shut down. Sorry, guys, I'm reading some stuff, seeing if we can find any more information real quick. Doesn't look like there's much else new to talk about besides what I've already mentioned. Let's see here. One of the best corners in Eagles history. 100% he was. Doesn't look like I'm finding anything else. Let me see if I can click on this John Clark thing and maybe he's got more of another inside scoop or something. But I think If I can't find anything else, we might get up out of here, guys. But let me see. Let me just go through a couple of different reporters for a second. I apologize, guys. All right, so here's what Elliot Shore Parks has to say. I know he's not the most popular Eagles reporter, but I do think he does put out some good stuff from time to time. His opinions I don't always agree with, but let's just look and see what he says here. So he says, could Slay return to the Eagles? I think because the Eagles love Slay and Slay loves the Eagles, anything is possible, but I think Slay will get a chance to start elsewhere, and I think the Eagles want to go young at his spot with Ringo/Rodgers, so I think it is unlikely. Yeah, so there's a balance. There's things you have to weigh. Like, do they just want to play Ringo because you drafted him, you want to see what he can become, or do you bring back Slay just because he was great this past year? Again, my opinion is that if you can get Slay back for one more season, you got for a good value, you do it just because you're trying to win another Super Bowl and you want to have the best player possible at every position. This year there was no weak spot. So, I'm not saying Ringo would be a weak spot. I'm just saying I know what Slay is. I know he's going to give you high level production. So I think if he can, I would bring Slay back. But this is an interesting take by ESP here. But I'm curious. Do you guys think that we should, if you can get Slay back, do you think that we should do that, or do you think that we should just move on at this point? Jacob says, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Yep, that it will be. It's going to be a lot of stuff going on next week. This week is going to be interesting, by the way. I got something crazy is happening on Wednesday in my life, so I don't know what that's going to look like. Hopefully I can get a video out to you guys, but if I miss a video this week, that's just know I'm good. Something's going on. So off-season's crazy, man. During the season, you get more of a set, okay, Monday, you got post-game stuff. You got Nick Sirianni press conference. Then Tuesday, you got, all right, coordinators are talking. Wednesday, first practice of the week. Sirianni and Hurts talk. Other players talk. Thursday, other players talk. Practice. Friday, practice. Injury report. Other players talk. But off-season, just a bunch of random, stuff like this is going to happen. So Birdie says, are you going to do a free agency stream? It's a good question. I don't even know yet. I think I want to do some. I'll probably do a couple throughout. I probably won't do one to open up just because I want to get a video that day, and I have something I have to do. I have to do a video on Tuesday. I'm required to. You guys will see why then. Kay says, "What, you got a life?" Barely, but yeah, something's going on. So yeah, but we'll see. Truewell says we're probably going to need a veteran edge rusher at some point. Yeah, I agree that we should bring in somebody. We need to bring in some free agent guy at that position. That is assuming you don't get Myles Garrett. But I want to draft somebody, and I want to bring in a veteran. That's what I would do, because I think Brandon Graham is probably going to retire. Frankie says, yeah. So I've been talking about this pretty much the whole stream. He says, do you think this is a sign of them re-signing Rodgers and have him or Ringo battle for the spot? Again, I said if Slay is gone, I think you do bring back Rodgers and have them compete. But I also understand, you drafted Ringo a couple years ago, so you want to see what you got in him. So I'm not sure. I think I want Slay back if you can do that. But I'm not sure who I would. No, you're good, Frankie. You're good. Jerry Johnson. I was looking at many of the past games for the Super Bowl. Slay made a lot of big plays. He did. He had his first playoff pick against the Packers. In some good positions on some other plays. Some pass breakups. He's just a good player, solid. And a lot of the time, against the Commanders, for example, and the Chiefs, they were not throwing at him. They were not throwing his direction at all. So I don't know if this is a hot take, but I'd rather bring back Oren Burks than Rodgers. I don't think that's a hot take, honestly, because Burks was really good last year filling in for Bond. Nakobe's going to be hurt to start next season, so you have to have someone playing there. Now that could be Jeremiah Trotter Jr., but do you think he's ready or not? Personally, I'm not sure. I'd kind of like to see him get some playing time, but Burks was great last year, and if you can bring him back for cheap and then have him, play instead of obviously like fill in for Nakobe to start the year, I think that'd be good. And then you could have Ringo start at corner, and then maybe draft somebody in their late round or bring in a veteran for cheap. But yeah, so I don't think that's a hot take at all. I do like Rodgers though, and if you can bring him back if Slay's not here, then yeah, I think you do that. Man. This is the crazy stuff of the offseason, guys. Some stuff. Ugh. Let me see if I can find anything else real quick to talk about. And if not, then we might end it off. But we'll give me a second. Because I got some other stuff. I got to work for tomorrow now. It's a good story right there. Okay, Zach Berman's got some stuff, so we'll talk about that, and then we'll probably be done. Hold up. Let me get this up here. Sorry, guys. All right. Share screen. Boom, boom. All right. So he says, this is A.J. Brown talking about Darius Slay. He says, as a teammate, he's one of the best teammates in the locker room. As a player, I think he's a Hall of Fame player. When fans have asked about Slay, I've often described him as your favorite player's favorite teammate. He loves football and loves being in the locker room. Locker room is the best talk, Slay once said. That's what you really miss in the football world. So, yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, not having Slay, assuming he doesn't come back, not having Slay, losing him, not having him in the locker room, not having him being a leader of the defense, that definitely is going to hurt. Like, these guys all love him. It sucks. It's a similar thing to losing Kelsey and Fletcher Cox last year. I think obviously those guys are above Slay all time if you're just looking at in Eagles history, but it definitely hurts to lose him. Great teammate, again, great player, like AJ said. And then he said something else. Actually, about 2 years ago, he said the Eagles were ready to move on from Slay in 2023, again, which I've been talking about off stream. And he said he was ready to sign with the Baltimore Ravens. Quote, Baltimore offered way more money, Slay said. And I'm like, I just came off the Super Bowl run. Go chase the bag. And then Big Dom called him and said, Slay, we need you. And Slay says, Dom, he's one of the dudes. He calls me and he's like, I need you because he'd do it for my family. So he made it right. So obviously Slay ended up staying for 2 more years. He won the Super Bowl. So maybe Big Dom gives him another call and is like, dude, we got to get you back here for one more season. Yeah, Dom to the rescue. So hopefully we can, Dom gets some stuff going. He can make a call. Maybe somewhere thing happens. Man, Big Dom really does. I mean, AJ said it. Like, I know, like, Big Dom is like, some people are annoyed with him and like he's like kind of a gimmicky guy, but like I like him, obviously. Like AJ said, I think last week that Big Dom is the guy that holds the team together, which is crazy if you think about it. But he's been here for a long time. I think he's a lot more important than we realize. So shout out to Big Dom, man, because it's really interesting how these people that you wouldn't expect have such a big impact. Hopefully he does something again this year, though. We got to keep Slay around. But yeah, all you guys who have been in here, 45-minute stream. I appreciate all you guys. I think we're gonna get up out of here now. I got to get to work on the video tomorrow and some other stuff. But yeah, so Slay's gone. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments once I end it. Appreciate again every single one of you guys for just tuning in Monday afternoon. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got for the stream. So I'll have a video out tomorrow talking about this, talking about some other stuff. We're going to have other videos throughout the week. Next week, obviously, free agency starts, so it's going to get crazy. Make sure you guys do have your post notifications turned on so you don't miss anything. But yeah, appreciate all you guys for being in here. All that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.